in the past, them results haven't fallen my way, so I won't be fooled 3 times for doing it, you know. So we got to go out and get the performance, but there's no secret what I want next, and I'm willing to wait. I'm willing to wait because that's the fight I really,
and I think
really
that's
want.
Get going from the track for some man they wanna chat shit till I knock them ain't like I'm Jack Shaw. Rolls hat, rolls back, my flow sharp like a hacksaw. Getting off.
Right, episode 14 of the Tanked Up podcast. Our biggest guest today. He's our bigger guest that we've actually typed up an intro for him.
So this is serious, this one.
Today's guest is one that we've been looking forward to having for a very long time. He is the former Cage Warriors and Titan FC World Bantamweight Champion. He is an ex-UFC fighter with an emphatic win by Calf Slicer that you may all remember. Kill clip. He's the self-proclaimed fashion icon, and he is now a Bellator he is now a Bellator bantamweight fighting September the 23rd against Jordan Winski. As an Irish fellow, we all know didn't fancy it. Ladies and gentlemen, Brett the Pikey Jones.
Oi, oi.
That was a fucking awesome intro.
Happy days, yeah. Thanks for coming, mate.
Does he do this?
Quiet
Big
down.
crowd in the
Quiet down.
background.
I love that as well, self-proclaimed. Is that because I'm the only person that thinks you're fast?
Yeah, I wrote that. Sorry, mate.
We were just talking about that before we press record about Brett's spending habits. And
You should have this towards the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm hoping the missus would watch the first 5 minutes.
well, you know she's definitely going to watch the first 5 minutes, so we want to drop him in it as much as possible early on.
You come in and I thought he's worth more than the studio, like.
You could buy 7 cameras with that jacket. So, Brett Jones, how are you feeling? Where are we? 2 weeks, nearly, or just under?
A week and a half probably. I think it's a week. What's the date today? Yeah, week and a half now. Yeah, so not too bad. Like I told you yesterday, mate. I'm skinny. I'm sort of malnourished. I'm overtrained, undermotivated, and the happiest I've ever been.
And his anxiety is right the way down.
It's down at the minute until the horse passes me and says, "You're looking big."
Yeah. So obviously, meant to fight James Gallagher. That fight fell through with injury. Now fighting Jordan Winski.
Yeah.
American guy. Bit of a wrestling background.
Yeah, trains out of Team Quest, like with I think it's Dan Henderson's gym, that isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if it says gym, but that's where he was training. But I've watched him. Just he's just an awkward fighter, really. You know, we haven't underestimated him at all. Like, you know, I've spoke to Carl and Shakes as well, and to be honest, it's one of them fights where I feel like personally I'm better than him in sort of every area, but he's a type of fighter to make good fighters look bad. Like, so, you know, we haven't cut no corners. The camp has been very, very, you know, difficult this time around, but it is what it is. There's no excuses from me. We've worked as hard as we can do, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting in there.
When are you travelling over, mate? Are you going to be like a week out, or are you?
Well, the Bellator done the dirty on me. I'm absolutely fuming, really. So last time we went out there, last February, we fight on the Friday. They got us out on the Monday because I remember it was my birthday the day we left. Like, and so we were out there on the Monday. So we had all day Monday, all day Tuesday, and then obviously you start the cut on Wednesday evening, and then this time now they've kind of said, "Oh, we're going to bring you out on the Tuesday," and I'm like, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's brilliant! You can stay home for an extra day." Oh, I want to be out there. I want to be out to that.
Yeah,
you know, not too close to the cut, but yeah, we're out there on Tuesday, fighting Friday, and then Saturday evening, then get my flight to Venice. I'm there for a weekend, so.
Straight to the Stone Island shop.
Straight, yeah.
Spend his winnings.
My missus is she's like, I want to go on the gondolas. I want to visit the Colosseum. What are you going to do? I said, well, you know, I won't mind going to the Stone Island shop and having a few photos out there. buy a jacket every day. Oh, she'll be
Speaking of, obviously, the last fight was in Dublin. So obviously it's your second time out there this year. You haven't fought there before this year, have you? So it'll be your second time fighting in Dublin.
Yeah.
What was obviously? It's probably going to be a little bit different to what you planned for, because obviously fighting Gallagher, we kind of knew going out there you're going to be the villain, the bad guy, everyone's going to be booing. But in comparison, like, so last time obviously you had a good fan reception being Welsh in Ireland. How do you think it'll go this time in comparison to last time? Do you think the crowd will still be on your back, or do you think the fact that you're not fighting Gallagher now, that they won put 2 and 2 together and I'll kind of get behind you.
Well, either way, I'm gonna be getting booed on the way out. I don't know about the way in, but the way out, you know. No, to be completely honest, I'm annoyed about it. I am annoyed about it. You know, at the end of the day, he spent his whole career talking smack to everybody about, you know, this fight, that fight, and then I just wanted to put him underneath the cosh. And at the end of the day, it's nothing personal towards me and him. He's just got a number next to his name that I want, and you know, I got to beat him and then get there. But now with him pulling out, it kind of puts me back a step where I've got to have this fight and then obviously win this fight, and then we maybe get that opportunity again. But regardless, they stick a microphone in my face after that fight. I'm getting booed on the way out there. So
and it's not just a number either. Like, let's, you know, say it for how it is. Considering, I'm not sure what is he ranked in the rankings.
8th, I think.
8th. So he's obviously, he's not like top 5 as such, but he is a big name within Bellator. They kind of have built him up from a youngster to kind of be the Irish poster boy. Then they're kind of Conor McGregor to an extent. So it's a massive amount of publicity by fighting him and fighting him in Ireland. You know, you're talking co-main. Even if you're not the main or co-main, there's the majority of people there to see him because of the following he has. So it is a shame that one fell through. But obviously, hopefully you can get that one back, but either the end of the year or beginning of next year in an ideal world.
Yeah, 100%. You know, that's what we're aiming for, really, is to go out and get that fight. You know, I'm not stupid. I know we need to concentrate on Winski first, and he's not someone that we're looking past either. You know, the good thing with me is that every time I've done that in the past, them results haven't fallen my way, so I won't be fooled 3 times for doing it, you know. So we got to go out and get the performance, but there's no secret what I want next, and I'm willing to wait. I'm willing to wait because that's the fight I really. And
I think
really
that's
want.
the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
As well.
Like, don't get me wrong, it'd be nice to go in December. Like, I was speaking to you yesterday about it and saying like December would be a really good card to get on, just get a bit of get that little bit of a paycheck before Christmas. But unless it's Gallagher, I'm not interested. You know.
And I think, to be honest, I think you're right in doing so. I'd imagine his injury's going to be healed, I would guess, by early next year, which gives you a little bit of a break before Christmas. Like you said, enjoy your holiday and then hopefully because they always tend to come to Ireland beginning of the year as well, so there's no reason why it can't happen in Ireland. Again, no American state tax by fighting in Ireland. It's an hour on the plane and you can take plenty of support of your own. Before, obviously you fought in Ireland in February, so but let's go back a little bit further for everyone who may not know to your UFC career then. Obviously Marshall was the first Welsh guy to sign. You signed a day or two after, but you was officially the first Welshman in the octagon. When you look back on your UFC career, and there were the likes of Sterling, Munoz, Montel Jackson, how would you rate it in terms of how well it went, how bad it went? Obviously, to us watching, it looked like it went very well, but how would you rate the UFC experience as an whole, having been someone that's fought for UFC, for Titan, for Cage Warriors, for Bellator? Because with me, I kind of done 10 fights with Cage Warriors and went to UFC, so they're my only 2 promotions, and they're very similar in terms of how they run. Whereas you have been about a little bit, you experienced different promotions in America, different promotions in Europe. How would you rate it, I suppose? Yeah,
like a lot of people say, the first question I get asked a lot actually with the Bellator thing is how is it different? I'm like, there's no difference whatsoever other than the shape of the cage and the fact you get to use your own shorts and your own sponsors and stuff like that. It's very similar. You're treated very well, and if I'm completely honest, like going back to the UFC days, mate, there's nothing better than turn up fight week. Everybody's there, everybody's buzzing. Obviously, the beginning of the week, everybody's a little bit annoyed, anxious, tired, hungry, but then after weigh-ins, everybody seems to relax, and like them sort of experiences I had with the UFC are absolutely fantastic. And like I said, I the way my career went. Now, if someone says you can go back and change things, I probably wouldn't have changed a single thing. You know, I learned a lot at that level. You know, and how to kind of conduct yourself, how to come across it differently as well. You know, I had to learn a lot of different things outside of the sport when it comes to like social media and speaking with interviewees and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a good experience. And as for results, you know, I'm super happy with how that went. Because I know there's a lot of guys out there who've had, you know, who class themselves as UFC veterans. They've had 2 losses and they're out, you know, and they're good fighters that have had that experience, you know, like, you got Reece McKee, who in my opinion is a really top fighter and a top level welterweight outside the UFC, and unfortunately his first stint in the UFC didn't go his way. Obviously, I'm sure he won't be long before he's signed back in there, but sometimes it's luck of the draw, and I feel like with myself, we were lucky to get some good fights.
Well, I wouldn't call it luck of the draw, to be fair.
A lot of work put in there,
you know,
yeah.
like you won 3 in a row. You was the first Welsh guy to get ranked. Then you fought. I mean, in terms of like, no one ever wants to lose, but in terms of losses aging well, you obviously lost to Sterling over 3 rounds. You looked at where he's gone, and probably, not speaking out of turn, but probably at the time a minimalised skill set of what you've gone now as well. You fought him with, same with Pedro, guys still knocking about in the top 10. Again, probably should have had fight of the night. Was one of the fight of the years that year, and again, you're striking. Considering it was a striking match, held up very well when you consider, in my opinion, having trained with you before and after, how much of a better striker you are now. You know, there's no shame in the losses. Come back then and beat a guy like Montel Jackson, who's an absolute beast as well.
No, since obviously the move up to SMMA, there's been a lot of changes around mixed martial arts. In the previous gym I was in, concentrating most on grappling only, you know, and to be honest, being up with the boys up there, the MMA skill set up in SMA is completely mixed. You're going to fight guys who are good grapplers, then fight the likes of Tank, who happens to be a really good grappler and a really good striker. So it's only a matter of time before you start picking things up. Like, look, at the end of the day, I know in my level that I'm not naive. I know what I need to work on, and Jack, you're probably the same and stuff, and the boys in the gym are the same, and I knew striking was one of them disciplines that I needed to improve, in my opinion, dramatically from when I moved from the previous gym to up to SMMA. And I did feel like as if, like, you know, that, don't get me wrong, I'm still decades away where I want to be with the striking, but at the end of the day, I'm not in a rush to get to that level. So if it takes me 10 years and I get that 10-year mark and I go, do you know, I finally got you, and I go, right, now I'm retired, then so be it, you know.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is as well, your grappling and wrestling is that good that more often than not, the people you're fighting are that weary of your wrestling and getting taken down and stuck underneath you that, well, I can speak from experience. You know, you're that fucking, not scared, but you're that worried about overextending or getting sloppy, and you get underneath and pin them. I think your striking is so much better now, but it'd look even better when our time does come where you've got to use it, because they're so wary of the takedown.
It's because I got people like you trying to chin me all the time. So
I think it's good as well that you've recognised, like, you do naturally become like a product of your environment, whether it's a little bit or a lot, how much people influence you. But recognising that you had to make that move and do it for yourself, innit? Because there's a lot of people who may feel awkward that they're going to leave the gym they're at. But at the end of the day, it is one career you've got, and you've got to do it for you, haven't you?
And sometimes it takes, like, you do need a little bit of an iron opener. Like, I thought my takedown defense was top notch, and no one could really take me down and start sparring with him every day, and I'm on my back more often. Not same with my wrestling. I used to think I would take most people my weight down, start grappling with him, and vice versa. So it's been great, not just for me and him, but for all the other boys as well. I've noticed the level of, you know, Scott Lee, Josh, Levi, even the bigger boys, Rowan and Owain. I've noticed since we've all kind of, not merged because obviously they've joined the gym, but since all the Swansea lot have come out and we've had obviously our lot that has been there for a long, long time, when we've kind of merged together and we've had a good, probably 2 years now, 2.5 years.
Yeah.
The level has gone through the roof. My level is level, even level of boys that are now turning pro or on the verge of turning pro. So it's been, without licking his ass too much, it's been very beneficial for us all.
Yeah. No, to be to be up in that environment, and for me, I look at at the end of the day, it's like not to sound cliche, but it is very much like a family there at the minute. We got some good guys coming through the ranks as well, at like a young amateur level, like Liam and stuff, and Bevan, who are coming through, who represent their country in the IMAFs coming up, and then you got the likes of, like, obviously me and Tank at the highest of levels, you know, but we're all on the mat together, and it's great when you got Tank going to fight week, and he's getting questioned by some top level guys, and I use that as motivation every single time. It's a big deal for me, for the boys, to watch, people like Jack, people like Horse, and also we got the likes of like Chris Edwards and Mark McDonough and Jack Marshman, who are guys who have been there and done it, and they're coming back to the gym as well and passing on their information. And
what's funny is he's like a double error fighter, because you got we talk about Chris and Jack and Martin, but I can remember being like 18, 19 watching them, and he was on the same cards, fighting on the same shows, or fighting for belts. But yeah, like you said, it's such a range now of age. You've got 16-year-olds, then you've got boys our age, and you've got boys a little bit older again who are coming or have knocked it on the head and are just training, and or passing knowledge or sharing knowledge. And it's a good environment to be in. It's the right environment to be in, and hence why the results are kind of speaking for themselves. One thing I want to go over was, obviously you had such a good run with the UFC. You lost the 2 fights to the top-notch guys. Had a wicked win then against Montel, which put you back in the win column, which was a big win, because I think he was, what is he in the UFC, like 7-2 or 6-1 or something like that.
That was an unexpected fight, mine. As me going about how good my stand-up's got in SMMA, and I was on my back looking at the pyrotechnics. That'll be a real thing. How would they get you?
But so obviously after that fight, your contract was up, and you end up signing for Bellator. When Ariel Awani announced on Twitter that he'd signed for Bellator, my fucking phone, God knows where he's at, but my phone blew up. I must have had 50 messages or 50 comments like, is Brett really gone to Bellator?
Yeah.
What's Brett gone to Bellator? So tell us a little bit like how that came about, and obviously why it came about, why you decided to go with Bellator rather than kind of stay with the UFC. And because to reinforce what you were saying earlier about it's exactly the same. Like my old man will reinforce that when I speak to him. When the first fight week they had in Bellator, I was like, oh, what was it like? And he's like, it's literally like being at the UFC. It's just you haven't got to wear Reebok kit, and the kids just circle on the fucking octagon.
Yeah. No, it's like I always remember the time when we were chatting about the contract negotiations, and I just felt like as if I was underpaid at the time. Like I know and that's not me jumping on the topic of UFC fighters don't get paid a lot, because this is not what I'm trying to go with it. It was me personally. Now I'm comparing myself to a fighter now who at the time had the same record as me, and don't get me wrong, since then he's blown up a little bit and he's doing really well. But at the time I'm just going off what our records were and who we fought at the time. So when it come to the last fight of the contract, I'd lost against Sterling and Pedro in the top 10, and then I fought Tony Gravely first of all.
Sorry, it was Gravely first. That's right.
Even I forgot. I fought Gravely, and then I fought Montel.
So you're on a 2-fight winning streak then.
Yeah.
Going into the end, into negotiations.
Going into negotiations, and the thing is, if I'd lost, like say for example, then I'd lost 2 fights, and then we go into negotiations, then I'd be like, well, I haven't really got much of a leg to stand on. I got to kind of take what they say, or go at the end of the day. And at the time, Marabdashvili was 5-2 in the UFC, and I was also 5-2 in the UFC. At that specific time, he hadn't won a fight. Sorry, he was 5-2, and the 2 losses he had at that specific time, because obviously his opponents now have raised or they've gone down, the same as himself. He's raised, but at the end of the day, I'm speaking from the actual time we were talking about this negotiation, and he had lost against 2 guys who weren't in the top 15 at that time, and I'd lost against 2 guys in the top 15 who were there at that time. And we both had 5 wins in UFC, and I just felt like, and we looked at the pay, and he was on $20,000 more than me. Now, you can look at the whole like, oh, well, he might be a bigger draw, he might do this, he might do that, but in my opinion, that's me. What I was asking for was the same money as him. I wasn't asking for more, I wasn't asking for less, I just wanted that much. Realistically, if the UFC had come back and said, like, oh, look, we'll give you a little bit less than Marab, I probably would have taken it. I probably would have, But like I said, it's just knowing your worth and knowing what it was. And at the time, I just felt, we both valued myself at different stages and different levels, And it's nothing, and look, it's nothing personal towards UFC. They're a business. Like it didn't upset me that they weren't paying the money that I wanted. The same way, it wasn't going to upset me leaving and going to another company. So when my manager come back to me and said, look, they're not budging, I think that my pay rise from that second contract going into the third contract, it went up about $3,000. It wasn't like, much really in the grand scheme of things. I said, right, well, if that's the case, then to my manager, I said, well, what about Bellator? And he was like, he didn't think that I'd want to go down that route. I said, well, look, at the end of the day, would I have loved to stay in the UFC and carried on this momentum with the UFC? Of course I would have. It would have been brilliant to keep the momentum going. But I'm getting older, you know what I mean? I'm getting older, and I think you've got to kind of find your worth and find what you wanted. Obviously, you went to Bellator, and then, the rest was history, And like I said, I didn't have the best start to the company, There's everybody blowing smoke. Oh, Brett Johnson said go Bellator, that's going to be amazing. And guess what? First fight.
Well, it's that old saying, Floyd Mayweather has said it a couple of times, legacy and wars isn't going to pay your bills and isn't going to pay for your kids to go to college and isn't going to pay for your kids to do this and the other. It's ultimately money that pays. Or you can have how many fighters are there from the past that's got this massive legacy and have been in these wars, but probably haven't really got paid what you would imagine they should. You see guys. I think Nate may have said it on the weekend about Tony Ferguson. Obviously, no doubt Tony's a millionaire from the fights he's had, but I know Nate said it in a conference, well, he should be 100 millionaire. The amount of
100%.
blood and sweat and wars and views he's brought to the company through his fighting style. He should have a lot more to show for it. Had he been in boxing and had this, I know it's a different sport. What I'm saying is, had he been in boxing and had the same type of fights and produced the same type of performances and had the same type of fan base, you probably have a lot more money to show for it.
100%.
So you just said you had all this smoke and all this stuff blown up and blew your name up, and then obviously you had the debut. So talk us through that one a little bit.
Well, I went tits up.
We do promise the conversation will get more positive. We're working our way through.
Yeah. No, to be honest, it was I'd signed in the October. And they were like, oh, look, we got a potential fight for you. And they offered me Stotts off the bat.
That's right,
Yeah, so Stotts was like a good fight, who's now the interim Bellator champion. But things fell through with my visa. What happened was my UFC contract was up, which meant that my visa with Zuffa wouldn't have been able to carry me out there. So Bellator needed to do my new visa, and unfortunately because of that, they couldn't get it done in time. So then the new year coming on, they said, right, you come. I think at that time they were saying there was some big announcements coming. There were some big announcements, and I didn't know what they were, and they didn't tell the fighters or anything. And then they said they signed with Showtime. So they did a big press conference with Showtime, and for the guys who don't know what Showtime is, it's a big sort of sports channel in the US.
It's kind of like Sky Sports in the US to an extent. Isn't it?
So then they were like, right, you're going to be ready for March, and you're fighting a Brazilian striker called Mateus Matos. I said, right, okay, brilliant stuff. So then that was all. So camp started from like January the 1st, and then we went all the way through January, and we got to, I remember my birthday, and they were like, it's not going to be it's not going to be March now, it's going to be April. So now that 8-week camp now has gone from 8 to 12 week, and it's like, okay, look, it is what it is. I'll just carry it through, and it went then from April to May. There's another 4 weeks, and
I was just gonna say, I'm sure it was fucking May that fight.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So, and realistically, I probably should have taken a week off there, but like,
but he didn't.
He knows me well enough. Like, I get a bit psychopathic when it comes to my training. So so obviously I ended up getting to May, and it'd been 16 weeks by that point and heavily in camp, and I was out in actually you were out there that time, not far from Tiger Schumann's in Long Island. I was out in Long Island. I was, and we were training out there. And I remember after one of the sessions, I was going to the 7-Eleven store, and they'd come back and said like, "Oh look, he's pulled out. He's got COVID-19." And obviously a bit of a bummer. They put in Danny Sabatello, and I'll be honest, I watched videos of Danny Sabatello and thought he was nothing special. And then come fight night, 15 minutes later, I'm thinking, what the fuck just happened there? And like I said, at the end of the day, it's all learning experience. And you know, I
100%.
guess subconsciously now with him doing so well in the bantamweight tournament, because he wasn't originally meant to be in the tournament. I think it was meant to be Gallagher and Sergio, but they both pulled out. So then they put 2 wild cards. He won the wild card. Then he's won his quarter-final bout. Now he's in the semi-finals fighting for the interim title. So he's blown up, really. So I guess the only sort of silver line all that is, you know, where he's doing.
It's aged well.
Yeah.
Not again, because I think you didn't look yourself that night. You did look a little bit flat, 100%. Which again could be like the fucking 20-week fight camp.
Yeah.
You've gone from training for a striker to training to fight a D1 wrestler. But yeah, like you said, he's done really well. I mean, he's fighting. I mean, if he wins his next fight now, he's going to be the interim champ, and then
he's fighting the final.
He's fighting in the final for $1 million. Which who's the Pettis is the champ?
Pettis is the actual champ, and then obviously.
So should he win the final, then he'll have the interim belt. He'll have $1 million, and he'll fight Pettis
for the actual belt.
But that fight was a mad one because, like you said, you fight, and we're all guilty. You get told you're fighting a D1 wrestler, we instantly think, right, I'm going to strike with him.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he did what he did the first 2 rounds.
I think the first exchange, I must have picked a sponsor sticker from the canvas to probably wade into him with it. It was from the fucking hip, it was.
And then like, you come out in the 3rd round and last like minute and a half, took him down and started going to work on him, and like, and I'm watching it thinking, I fucking wish he did this in the first minute and a half.
But looking back as well, do you know, like, you were on with the last minute and a half there. Like, I remember being in I had the clappers. I tried and do as much damage as I could. I knew I'd messed up halfway through that 3rd round. I thought, nah, I'm done now. I need to finish the fight, really. And then I ended up getting on top of him, and I just started landing as many shots as I could. And some of the stuff was getting through, but like Tank said, maybe if I'd done it earlier, it would have been better. And then the clappers went, and I literally thought, like, you bastard, you just got away with that one. And I remember seeing when the clappers went, and I was on top of him, I sat up, and the relief on his face, because at the end of the day, he's taking a fight on 6 days' notice against, you know, myself, and he's won. So he looks.
And hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, but like I said, it's all learning experience, and like I said, I'm not naive. When I was 15 and no, like I remember you actually said something similar in one of your last interviews, and I was always prepared to lose. Not that I want to lose at all. You know, if I could have finished my career 50-0, I would. But in this game, it's a bit tougher than it is for boxing to stay undefeated. And you know, at the end of the day, you just got to kind of deal with it. I think it only becomes a problem if you take a loss and then you stop, or you don't come training, or you kind of quit because you've lost. Like,
yeah. For someone who's never done it, then, like halfway through that fight, when it's going that way, if you're feeling flat, is there part of you, obviously you turned it on in that last round, is it going through your head in like round 2, I should be doing more than this, or you kind of like out of body at that point?
Yeah, and what you find is the more frustrated you get and the more you're thinking, what am I fucking doing? The worse it is then to get going. Even in sparring, you have some days in the gym when you feel electric, and then you have other days where you feel just a little bit offbeat, a little bit sloppy, and you're kind of sparring with guys who you should be kind of comfortable with, and they're landing shots, so then you're getting wound up, and then you're thinking, right, fucking sharpen up, and then because you're trying so hard to sharpen up and you're thinking about it and you're overthinking it, then you end up fighting worse. And like you said, it can often go like that. Before we get to the positives of his Bellator career, there was one final hurdle, obviously, towards the end of last year.
It was, yeah. I completely forgot about that.
Is this one people don't know?
Well, they probably, not really. They do know, they don't know. So he gets a fight booked in November.
October. Yeah.
Here we go. We're gonna right the wrongs.
Finally get good fight.
Great fight.
Yeah, good fight.
Finally get the show on the road and take it away.
So I completely forgot what Still Tag said. I remember getting out there, and I remember.
So where was it, to Connecticut?
No. Connecticut was the first one. Arizona was the next one. So we got off the plane, and it was hot out there, like, I mean, but we got out there, I thought it was a lovely little place, not a massive place, Arizona, it's like a middle of the desert, it's like, but it was cool to be there and stuff, and so we get there late on one of the nights, jet lagged the fuck, and we ended up just next morning waking up and just going on the treadmill, and I'd been in Arizona for about 12 hours. I had a phone call, Brian Butler, my manager, fights off, Brett, they're not finding a replacement. Don't bother coming out. So it's a bit awkward, I said, because I'm already here, like, to me. I said, I'm actually in the fighters' hotel that they be using. And he was like, oh, okay. I thought this old man up. I thought Shake's up, and Shake goes, come on, mate, don't take the piss now. I said, Nick, I'm
coming home.
I'm coming home, be serious, like, to me. And the problem was, back then, you couldn't just go, oh, well, shit, that happens on the flight back home. We had to go through like 2 or 3 days of COVID protocols. So we're stuck in fucking Arizona for 2 or 3 days.
That just gives me PTSD of when I fought with the fucked shoulder in September. I remember landing in Texas, right to flight to Vegas, turned my phone on, and it was like, the Georgian kid who you got matched up with 5 days ago is out. And I'm like, right. But I'm in Dallas, so...
what are we going to do?
And Graham was like, we're on the case, and I remember ringing him and be like, listen to me now and listen carefully. I don't care who it is or what weight it's at, but I will be fighting next Saturday. It's not a week later. It's not 2 weeks later, because I'm a fucking out here. So just get me a fight on that date, or don't get me a fight at all and send me fucking back home.
Yeah. Did they, like, sort you out for that?
Yeah. Basically, it's like, it's happened to me once or twice now, that sort of thing, and like it happened to the UFC where I had to pull out on the day of the fight, and then I got paid my shoulder.
That was just as fucking bad. Ian Entwistle.
Oh, that was
that was a UFC London card. It was 2017. I had a fight coming up, and Marshman had tickets for the UFC, so he rings me on the Friday and goes, "Oh, I've got tickets for tomorrow. They've sorted me out. I can't make it. Do you want it? It's 2 tickets." So I'm like, fucking right, I'll have it. We'll fucking got nothing else to do. So I ring Truth, do you fancy going to UFC tomorrow? He's like, what, like going to watch the UFC? I was like, yeah, we got free tickets. Yeah, I was like, yeah, fucking Brett's fighting. We'll just fucking get up there, get there nice and early, and it'll be out of a card. Yeah, fucking wicked. Get in the car, drive up to London. It took about fucking 7 hours because of all the traffic. Get out of the car. My old man rings me, seen Brett's not fighting? I'm like, shut up now, he's taking the fucking piss. No, he's not fighting. Go on Instagram, all send his fucking post after post after post. And I'm like, we've come all the way up there. I mean, he wasn't even training with us at the time. We just went up we've come all the way up there to watch Brett fight, and now he's not fucking fighting.
That was probably the worst I've ever felt. That was the worst I've ever felt. Bear in mind, like I said, at that time, I was undefeated. I was there for a UFC, sort of fight week. I remember turning up, and obviously I had a funny feeling he was going to struggle with his weight. And he came in 139. Like I said, I got no problem with fighting someone overweight. I failed weight in the past. It's happened. And I remember being the weigh-ins, and he's like, and it's backstage behind the curtains, and I've gone first, and he's gone second. So I'm in front of him in the queue, and he's like, I could see him like looking down and feeling like fucking like really like I didn't care. I did not care. And he goes, I'm sorry, mate. He was going. I was like, yeah, it's all right, mate. It's all good. Like, don't worry about it. It's fine. You know what I mean? I'm taking 20% of his purse. I don't give a fuck. and he goes this to me. He goes, about 5 minutes goes by then. Mate, I'm sorry. I'm thinking, and I literally turned. I said, mate, do me a favor. Just turn up tomorrow. I don't give a fuck about the whole weight situation. It doesn't bother me. Just turn up tomorrow. And then all that day was fine. We did the full face-offs. We stood in the scales, did the full face-offs. And then I end up like literally at the point where I've said goodbye to my family before I go upstairs to get ready to go. I think we were leaving for the venue about half an hour after I said goodbye. And as I walk back to the hotel, I'm skipping along thinking, here you go, fight day. My manager's sitting there, and I knew it weren't good news there. and he's like, so, and he didn't say nothing. He just went, sorry. And I went, fuck's sake, man. Drove up to fucking Newport, stopped on the way, mind you, at the time I had a Peugeot 106 rally car, and you didn't pick up a front bumper, so I went up to Newport, picked up a bumper from some council estate in Newport, put in the back of the car, and I stayed there for the week.
So then obviously fight them in February with Dublin, and obviously
what a card,
finally got off to watch it. Well, what the start that we all expected, and a good card when it was a good card. It looked like a really good fight week. I'm gonna actually get a video off the group of that Ash sent.
With me and my weight.
Because he's the most stressed out fucker you'll ever meet, ever cutting weight. He could have 2 pounds to cut and he'd be stressed as eyeballs.
I will.
And his brother sent us this video. Ash must have had a GoPro on. He must be wearing a GoPro about Dublin. And he said, like, it's Wednesday afternoon. So when was the fight? Friday. So it was Wednesday morning. So you're not cutting weight till Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And Ash is like, it's about 10 o'clock Wednesday morning. They're in a coffee shop, and he's like, right, come on, you get back to the hotel now and get this sauna sorted. and Ash goes, Brett, don't worry about it. I'll just sort it when we get back now. And he starts like fucking losing it. Start getting all nasty with his brother Ash. Like, no, I want to fucking get it sorted. Look, fucking get the seat sorted. It's like a portable sauna. Can see it on his drone, and he's ratty as fuck.
I was fucking losing it.
And Ash is losing it back with him. Like, fucking chill out. I'll sort it when we get back. So we pull that one up on the screen for the people to watch, because it's the fucking funniest video. You'll see, like, if you've ever cut weight, you'll know exactly what's going on in his head. Just the day of the weight cut, just the stress and the waiting around, thinking, "Oh, I gotta do that."
That's exactly what it is.
And I can see in his eyes. I've been there myself. I can see in his eyes how worked up he is just at the thought of having to go cut weight in a couple of hours' time. But obviously, good win.
All for a fucking seat, right? Okay, it was all for a seat. Like, I take my own sauna with me, so I don't have to fucking sit next to fucking Yoel Romero and Melvin Manoy while they're cutting weight. So I can sit in my own room and cut weight in my own room. And I needed a seat, and I didn't have a fold-away seat with me. So I'm starting to lose my head with him, trying to find a fucking go outdoors in the middle of fucking Dublin. I was go outdoors, like a camping company in the middle of fucking Dublin city centre. I was looking for one, and a fold-away seat and stuff. And then turns out I'm back at the hotel, and the fucking chair that was in the room was fucking perfect. I didn't have to buy a fucking seat, like, I mean. But yeah, what a fucking experience that was.
It's tough though, isn't it? Go on, I've done it, but you explain to people, because like you can't really explain it unless you've done it, cut weight.
Oh.
What it does to you, it's not so much physically, it's what it does to your mind. Like, it just fucks you in so many different ways. Like, you'll get wound up about the littlest thing, you know, like, we've all been there. It's like, I've been cutting weight for my last fight with my old man, and I'm letting the wrap up, and he's like, yeah, he doesn't need that blanket on, he's gonna find. I'm like, put the fucking blanket on me, just put it on me. And then thinking, it's a fucking millimetre thick blanket, like, it's not going to make any bit of difference. But in my head, and he's exactly the same as, like you said, the hotel chair just slotted straight in there, but you're walking around, go outdoors in the middle of the
You've got to be OCD about it, I suppose, haven't you, when you're at that.
I don't think there's ever been a go outdoors in the middle of fucking Dublin. There has been, like.
But, all I say, he was a good level guy who fought and just absolutely fucking smashed him to pieces, shut him down from the start, and, very much how I see next weekend going.
Yeah, the thing is as well, it's like I watch a lot of football, right? Okay, and with football, you can always fuck up a game of football, but don't worry, next weekend now you'll get to right that wrong off, like, I mean, and then you can go out next weekend and you can be the hero. And with football, you can be the fucking villain one week and be the hero next week. The problem is with our game is we don't get to fucking fight every week, like, I mean, so after that fucking shit show in May against Sabatel, or I just want to write, and that's all I want to do is just put a good performance in, like, I mean, and that could be, not that I ever wanted to be this way, but that could be even having a good performance but losing, but at least showing up, like,
100%.
And then I was like, oh, October's coming, so you get to write that wrong off in October, so don't worry about it. Then we get October and fucking fight pulls out, so now I gotta wait now until February. So yeah, like, it was just nice to get that first win over and done with, and like I said, the kid that they put me in there, I think subconsciously, I think they wanted not him to win, but I think he was put in there as a bit of a test, and if he got a win there, he would have been on to bigger, better things. But, we knew what he was like, and I thanks to Shaky, Carl and the boys for that one, because they really did their studying on him. Like, his old man has always been the same when it comes to studying for people. Like, I'll tell him a name, and then within like an hour, I'll have a brief on what he thinks we should do, and as long as we're on the same page, and I think that's why it works so well. That's all I do is I look at his relationship with his old man, and I try and just implement the same sort of relationship. Puts his trust in his old man, I want to do the same. He puts his trust in Carl Parker, I'll do the same, because the results speak for themselves. So after that fight, the way it went out, and I remember half an hour before that fight, your old man goes, go out southpaw, he goes, about an hour, half an hour before the fight, go out southpaw. And me thinking, fuck me, I prefer to be orthodox, because my defences seem to be better when I'm orthodox. I like to hide behind the gloves a little bit more when I'm orthodox. When I'm southpaw, yes, I feel okay, but I don't feel defensively as good as what I do when I'm orthodox. So when he said go southpaw, I was thinking, oh shit, I don't feel comfortable. But I did what he said, and when I come out there, I just saw Kershaw's eyes why then? You're like, oh fuck, we weren't expecting this, like, and it did kind of put him off beat a bit, and it put him off just enough that we could get the takedown, and the rest was history then, you know.
Yeah, that was a dominant fight. That was probably the best. Well, the most one of. No, you've had some fucking dominant victories,
No,
but
I agree. I think
in terms of like, the first round wasn't close. You dominated him, but he done a good job of surviving and damage control. But he come out in the second, like we were saying earlier, he was there, not scared, but paranoid of the takedown.
Yeah.
He didn't want to let his hands go, and then when he did get tucked down and he started to get tired, it was kind of like, you just seen the life. Like, I mean, it could have been stopped in the second round, you know, in all fairness, and at the third round, it was just a matter of. It was the third round you stopped him in, wasn't it? Yeah, the third round was just the icing on the cake.
I remember screaming at the referee after there was like a little like about 30 seconds left in that second round, and I remember hitting him a ground and pound, and I'm fucking screaming at the referee, "Stop the fucking fight! Stop the fucking fight!"
Like fucking Apollo Creed's coach, throw in the towel.
Yeah, because there was a moment, I think you could see it in your face, like, why isn't he stopping this? Like, this is, I shouldn't have to be doing this to him. You
well, he wasn't moving. He couldn't. He physically couldn't get out there. And the rule book states. To be fair, the ref wasn't very fucking good for that fight, because the rule book is if you can't defend yourself, stop the fight. I mean, my old man was losing. You see it on the TV. He was losing his rag in the corner. He kept grabbing the cage.
It must have been about 5 or 6 times.
I think it was 5 or 6 times. Now, I think the rule is. Fucking Don ripped me in the comments if it ain't, but I'm pretty sure it's grab the cage once, it's like a stern warning. Do it the second time, it's boom, point off.
Yeah, point off.
The guy grabbed the cage like 5 or 6 times, and the ref is only then like, you do that again, it's gonna be a point off. It's like, you should have been a fucking point off 3 times ago. But yeah, good performance, and obviously, you know, look forward to next weekend.
Just keeping that momentum going now, you know. At the end of the day, like I said previously, the camp has been a tough one this time. It has been.
But they all are.
Yeah, you're right. No, they are right. And like I said, at the end of the day, I'm not thinking as well. I'm getting older. I know that the camp, you know, I can't afford to be doing these long camps. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I think maybe the next time just have a sit down with Shaky and just see, like, maybe doing less of a camp. The reason why I do these long camps is to go back to that anxiety I have my weight. The longer I train, the lighter I get and stuff like that. So I'm gonna have to sit down and have a chat with him about it. But as always, the camp has been. You know, the camp has been brilliant, as in, like, the training I get and with the boys and with the coaches, just injury-wise and a couple of things, you know. But, at the end of the day, it's no excuses. At the end of the day, if it was that much of a problem, I wouldn't be going in next week, you know. At the end of the day, I'm confident, very confident. I've had the backing of all the training partners and the coaches, and they're very confident. So, yeah, we just got to go on them for a solid performance in.
And I think it's the first fight he's had in about since he started to, like, and actually go support and actually enjoy myself, like,
have a drink,
have a couple of drinks. So I'm out there, I'm giving it large in Dublin, front row, with my Brett Johns flag.
You'd be covered in Guinness, but it'd
be a great experience, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
it'd be quality. Have you got loads of supporters going with you, or?
Yeah, at the top of my head, I think number wise, if I had a quick guess, I'd say about 200.
Really, that's class, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm thinking that's like everybody, because I've had like a group of like 20 boys say they come in, and then like we got a little like WhatsApp group. I think a good like 50-60 boys that come in.
Is a lot of the football boys going?
A couple of so different football boys the last time. Same like Swansea football boys, but more like the youth boys are coming, because all the headers come the first time and they love the trip they did. So there's going to be a few people out there.
It'll be rowdy over there.
It's going to be. Put it this way, I'm glad it's not Gallagher now with them heads.
Might have not gone well, is it, in the crowd for that one?
It'd be like at what's that film, 300? It'd be like,
you know, is it in the free arena?
Yeah.
Like, I watched a UFC card there like 7 years ago. It was meant to be Duffy and Poirier, and the atmosphere in there, like, for that card, was unreal. It was one of the maddest atmospheres I've ever seen. But just from watching shows there on the TV, it seems like doesn't matter what card is on there, it's packed out, and the atmosphere is fucking bonkers. So
it's Irish people, isn't it?
Yeah,
they love
can't wait. I generally can't wait
to. That's why you're saying about them coming back in February. I think they will, because every time they do go there, they do sell her out. Like, do you mean?
Who else on the card? You got Romero and Manoff.
Main event is Peter Queally, Benson Henderson.
That's right, and then so Romero and Manoff, co-main, is it?
Yeah, that's co-main. There's a couple of other fights then. There's a couple of, like, obviously...
Is Liam McCourt fighting?
Liam McCourt's on there. Kieran Clark's on there. Brian Moore's on there. So there's a few good guys. Lou
Long is... may or may not be on the card.
Cat.
Yeah, bleep.
Anyway, great episode, boys. Joe, we doing questions now or on the?
Yeah. I got a load of Patreon questions, but I got one just before we wrap up. If this fight goes to plan, you've already let us know you kind of want the Gallagher fight. If that was to go well, is Sabatello then a fight you'd like to get back?
100%. Yeah, that, to be honest, that's been my plan. But obviously, as you can see, there's a couple of pieces that need to come together for that puzzle to work out. And
Do you think they'll rank? How does the Bellator rankings work? You gotta beat. It's like UFC where you kind of gotta beat a guy.
I think so. Yeah, and
they do 10 or 15.
10. 10.
So it's even tougher.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, like I said, I think that's why, this fight was such a big fight for me with Gallagher. A win over him would have put me into the top 10. I wouldn't care if I slot in the top 10. At the end of the day, everybody's different in this game. But for me personally, it's just giving myself these smaller goals. And one of my goals, like I said, with the UFC, I was fortunate enough to get into the top 15, but didn't get into that top 10, which was what I would have loved to have done. Yeah. But I always look. I think if I can't do it this way, I might do it this way. So obviously, getting the top 10 in Bellator would be the next option. And
it definitely puts you back. We know how good you are, but it puts you being like top 10 in Bellator now, especially at bantamweight. It's such a deep division.
Yeah,
it definitely puts you in the talk of he's one of the top guys in the world, not just in Bellator, but in the world, because credit to Bellator, they've built their divisions really well the last 2-3 years. Going back, let's be real, going back 5 years ago, they had the freak show fights.
Yeah,
they had guys like Rory McDonald and Musashi who were world class, but kind of didn't have the opposition there to compete with them. Whereas now they've legitimately got a solid, a minimum solid top 10 in it. Look at you, for example, you're not even in the top 10.
No,
and you think you've got your top 10 at bantamweight, and you've got guys like you and is Brian Moore top 10?
No, Brian Moore.
So guys like Brian Moore and etc. Were very good and not even in the top 10. So it definitely will. Win over Gallagher will put you 8, 7, whatever.
I think subconsciously as well. Do you know, since seeing Chandler go over to UFC, that kind of give Bellator a little bit more to work with as well, and people are going, he come from Bellator, blah, blah, and more people start watching because of that sort of thing.
I think you're right.
You wanted to see previous fights of him, and like I said, if you watch some of Chandler's previous fights when he fought Eddie Alvarez and stuff like that, some absolute barn burners.
I think it shows as well, though. It's not just a one-way street where the older generation going that way. It shows that you can go from top tier Bellator to UFC, because I think a lot of people, they probably don't want to go to Bellator because they may shut off a future UFC career, whereas that's not the case.
That was the good thing with me. I think, looking back now, if the UFC and Bellator had come at the same time, I think, I would have gone to the UFC. Of course I would have. It's the goal. But when I was a youngster growing up, it wasn't just, I was a fan of MMA, not a fan of UFC. I was a fan of all disciplines, of all promotions and stuff. I was a mad fan of WEC back in the day, and if UFC didn't buy up WEC, me and Tank would be fighting a pair of blue gloves.
Yeah, we would, of course. There's so many. Strike Force.
Yeah.
Like Pride, I would have loved to have fought on Pride.
I
think Pride, for my style especially, that's my bread and butter. Fucking Pride. That would have been my ultimate, not my ultimate dream, because it got shut down a long time before I even had my first fight. But looking back, if Pride had been about today now, that's something I would love to add to the list. You know what I mean? Fucking, because there was a time where Pride was the premier organisation in the world. You had UFC, you had Chuck Liddell go over and lose.
Yeah.
You had then the Pride guys when the UFC bought Pride. You had Pride guys coming over and winning titles like your Rampage and your
Shogun Rules
and Vanderlei come over, did really well. Crow Crops didn't took a bit of time to get fucking going, but people like Hendo even. So they like you said, we're fans of MMA, not just the UFC. But we are in an era where there are just UFC fans. No doubt there's people out there that just watch Bellator. There's probably a lot of crazy Irish out there that, now McGregor's not fighting, don't fucking watch the UFC because they just want to watch their boys. So, yeah, it's and like you said, Chandler has shown that top tier level Bellator guys can compete with top tier UFC, just like people like Musashi has shown that top level UFC will have no problem also competing with top level, and Romero and all that's the same. So it's exciting times.
Mind you, that them Pride days were I think I'd have been right at Pride if I could stick the boot in this summer. I'd done enough in Nottingham Forest away. So.
And juiced up. I reckon if we could get fucking juiced up, it'd be different. Imagine how strong he'd be juiced up.
Soccer kicking like it's brutal,
middleweight tank. Like,
I could definitely make lightweight if I juiced up. If not welterweight.
Trapzilla.
Let's just to keep the regulars happy. Obviously, just quick little recap of the weekend. Massive fight card. Lot of drama at the not even the beginning of the week. You had the drama at the press conference. Then you had the drama of the weigh-in day. Kamzat came in 8 pound over. Had the whole muddle around with the fights. Wild,
wasn't it?
In all fairness, they recovered really well and put on a good card.
Not a good weekend for me, I got to be honest.
Not a good weekend. Joe owes me 60 quid.
I don't know if we're quite up that, because he screwed me over with the one.
No, I didn't screw him over.
Clashing Diaz versus Chimaev is a win on his part.
No, I'm
Look
not.
at Sherdog, I don't think it's a win.
I'm not classing it as fuck all. I've got a message off Joe, and I can screenshot the message where he messaged me saying, Diaz beat Kamzat via weight cut. I was like, well, I've won the bet then, haven't I? So then this is what he does then. He said, let's rebet on the new fights. I said, yeah, no problem, man.
Not a good thing.
I said, I'll go Diaz, I'll go Kamzat, I'll go D-Rod. He fucking messages me then Sunday morning, 2-1 on them bets last night. I said, no, 3-0. He said,
I was convinced.
He said, I picked D-Rod. I said,
yeah.
I said, you didn't fucking pick D-Rod. I said, I
thought I picked D-Rod.
I've got a bet receipt to prove it.
Yeah.
So,
Bastard.
good. D-Rod, dodgy decision.
G won that, didn't he? Let's
Well,
be
it
honest.
doesn't matter. You talk about going on Sherdog. Let's go on Sherdog. There's 60 quid that
You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, you owe me 60 quid. But all in all, probably or at least the main and the co-main, in my opinion, the fights that should have been booked in the first place.
Yeah. It was awesome, Carl.
They tried to feed Nate to the wolves with Kamzat. Can't ever count him out, as we've said in the previous podcast, but you can see what was trying to go on there, kind of trying to devalue him. And I think Nate almost took that, thinking, well, if this is what I got to do to get out of my contract, that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
It would have obviously raised Kamzat's profile. But 2 takeaways. Diaz is free agent. Looked really good, I thought, for a 36-year-old guy. Tony Ferguson is declining slowly.
Yeah.
But they're both similar age, both similar experience. It was good to see 2 legends fight it out in a fight that wasn't going to sway massively one way in comparison to the other. And Kamzat just looked like a fucking monster, didn't he?
Like, look, put the weight cut aside. Like, obviously, the weight cutting thing. He made me look like an angel. He made me look like an angel. But, like, with that side of things, him going out there and doing it to Kevin Holland. And, like, look, I know Kevin Holland isn't predominantly a grappler, but he is a very, very tricky fight for anybody at
and
that
a black
weight.
belt,
Yeah.
and a jiu-jitsu black belt.
Yeah.
So.
But I thought the way Kamzat went out there and did that was just so dominant.
It was, wasn't it? It
And
was unreal.
I think DC said it, and I'm just checking the time because I don't want to make Brett let him for a session. He said, like, to come out and fight how Kamzat did, that just shows, like, complete disregard for your opponent's skill set. He's come out there against Kevin Holland, who's one of the best in the world, and has kind of looked at him and thought, there's no way you can beat me. I'm that much better than you. I'm just going to attack from the off. And that's kind of what DC was saying. He's just disregarded his skill set. Like, no, I'm just going to keep pressing until I finish you, because I am going to finish you. And to do that against a guy like Kevin Holland, who, when you look at it, took Marvin Vettori 5 rounds on 6 days' notice. Who else did he go the 5 rounds with at middleweight? He lost the decision because of his wrestling.
Brunson? Did he fight
Brunson?
Yeah.
These are big fucking guys.
Knocking out fucking Jackery as well, man.
Yeah.
In the meantime.
These are big guys. He's gone on a tear. Like he says, beat Jackery, beat Buckley and all these other guys.
Yeah.
Alright, he's lost 2 decisions to these big fucking middleweights. Has looked pretty fucking good with welterweight since he's come down, and Kamzat has just completely blown him out the water. Made him look like a novice, and we know for a fact that that's not what he is. He's a very, very good fighter, so scary. What do they do with him next? I don't know. Whether they make him go to middleweight. I know there's talk of him. Costa wants to fight him. Fucking crazy.
I'd love to see that.
No, I could buy into that.
100%.
Or whether they give him a Kobe, or it'd have to be a Kobe, I would guess, because I'd assume Leon's gonna fight.
Do you think they'll make him go to middleweight? Do you think for this next one?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Seemed weird, didn't it?
It did seem weird. It's kind of like they've kind of swept it under the carpet, but at the same time, it's like £8 a big miss. I know they're saying that you have to rehydrate a little bit, so maybe he did get lower, but maybe he'll want to go to middleweight. And I don't think he'll have any problem in the strength and the size. Because like I've seen him in person, you've seen him in person. He's fucking massive.
Yeah.
Like I think if he he wouldn't even need to put on size. If he just fought a middleweight, you could stand him next to a Costa or you got the outliers, haven't you? Like your Costa, and your Vittori, but you stand him next to a fucking Stylebender or next to a Whittaker. He's not going to look small. And I think stylistically, it's probably an easier division for him because there's not that many high-level wrestlers, but maybe Dana wants to double champ him or whatever, and they will give him another shot. Who knows? He's obviously he can make well. He's done it before, and performed well at it.
The reason why I'm saying about the whole weight thing is because of, like, I remember when I fought in LA, they said something like you couldn't put on a certain amount of weight or something, and then I ended up making weight, no problems at all, but then getting told to go up weight because I put on too much the next day. So
we good?
That's the thing.
Yeah, that's. Because, I mean, he would have had to be close to fucking £200, I would get. If you went in 178, I mean, I put on, at Bantam, I put on £20.
Yeah.
Between, or 15 to £20, and that's at 61 kilos. So I'd imagine at 77, you're putting on...
Bigger again,
probably 20, 25 pounds. So if he then weighed in 178, he's probably £200 plus. And let's be real, his skill set is fucking insane.
Yeah.
So,
animal, isn't he? Complete animal. He acts like one as well.
I said since he got in the UFC, I think he can be double champ. I think he could probably even win the fucking light heavyweight belt, to be honest with you. But maybe that's where it is. He wants to win both belts, and perhaps he doesn't want to... Because he's not, let's be real, he could probably sit on the side and wait for Usman to fight Leon again and get the winner.
Yeah.
So you could probably... You're talking, what, July, August next year? At the latest.
Mind you, that's a fight I wouldn't mind seeing. Obviously him and Leon, but like the fight I wouldn't mind seeing is him and Usman.
Yeah, that's a clash of styles.
That's the fight I wouldn't mind watching.
But again, are they going to put him straight in for a title fight off the weight miss? They probably won't. Knowing the UFC, they'll make him like if you're going to say that. And there's only one guy waiting there, and that'd be Colby.
Yeah.
And if I'm being completely honest, I'm not saying he couldn't beat Colby, but stylistically, again, that's a tougher fight for him. Because I think Kamzat's a more explosive striker, but I also think you're not going to take Colby down like that. And I also think for over 5 rounds, Colby's a fucking menace to anyone.
I would just say he seems to...
If you can menace Usman, you can menace anyone in the division. Again, it's not saying you can win every fight in the division, but he's going to make a fucking fight of it. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with him next. And it'll be interesting to see what Nate does next. He talked about boxing a lot after the fight, so I'm guessing the Jake Paul route is probably...
I reckon...
I'd be interested in that as well.
You're fucking right.
I'd be interested in that.
I reckon he might fight Mayweather after saying, like, I'm going to do what McGregor couldn't do. I'd like to see that.
I don't think you'll fight Mayweather.
No?
I think the size is too much.
Too big.
Even though Mayweather's doing his exhibitions, like Nate probably walks around 180, 185.
Well, put it this way, I think he looked huge compared to Ferguson. I think he looked really big compared to Ferguson. Yeah, okay. Nate has fought a welterweight the last few times, and this was the first fight that Ferguson's got up to welterweight. But I think he looked quite bigger than Ferguson this time around.
Yeah, maybe he'll fight Logan. Who knows, isn't it? He's not.
Yeah, I mean,
he's not matched.
I think he's quite friendly with Logan, so it wouldn't surprise me. You know, they're into all that shit, and they're very smart, MP.
Yeah.
To make money, maybe does a Anderson Silva and does fight a legitimate boxer, or fights another MMA fight, fights a Mike Perry in a boxing match.
That'd be good to see.
You don't know. But whatever he does, I'm sure.
We know that.
How cool for this for a plot twist, though? Maybe Nick fight Jake and Logan fight Nate.
What a press conference
why not?
That'd be
why not? Why
Yeah.
the Pauls versus the Diaz's? You would pay to watch it, wouldn't you?
I'd want to be there.
Might be like
we'd have to go.
It might be the highest grossing pay-per-view ever, like something like that.
Oh, that'd be huge. That would.
But we'll wrap it up there. We got some questions that we're going to answer on the Patreon.
Yeah, we'll do that after.
If you want to see Brett give away all his deepest and darkest secrets, then head over to our Patreon. What do we keep saying, Joe? It's a meal deal a month.
It's a meal deal a month. A cheap meal deal.
£3 a month.
Not Waitrose.
Come on, boys.
In Tesco, it was more expensive than Tesco's.
Exactly.
Club card, we're like club card prices.
Club card prices. So, for the podcast, though, thanks to Brett for coming on.
Cheers, mate.
Don't forget to tune in and watch him. When will this be out? So it'll still be next Saturday, I guess.
Yeah.
When next Saturday, what number card is it? Bellator Dublin.
Dublin 2.
Dublin 2, 2022.
Yeah.
I'll be over there. The boys will be over there. Get behind him. And as always, like, share, subscribe, comment, and thank you for watching.
I love you.
I love you.
Cheers, mate.
Get going, what we trap for. Some man, they wanna chat shit till I knock 'em, ain't like I'm Jack
Level
Shaw.
to the game.
Rolls high, rolls back, my flow sharp like a hacksaw.